What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's your boy Noname, back at it with another Giants update video. Now then, because the New York Giants don't play the Dallas Cowboys until Monday Night Football primetime. It's at home, by the way, but I mean primetime games, can't remember the last time we actually won a primetime game. That's besides the point, because the game isn't until Monday. I got about like an extra day or two to do my preview video, which means I have a little bit of time to do this review of the trade deadline move of Leonard Williams, and in general talk about how I feel about Gelman not making any other moves, not actually unloading some contracts and whatnot, because we don't know if maybe he did try and then there were teams that were just unwilling to trade and whatnot. But with the extra time, I want to get this out there to you guys. So let's talk about Leonard Williams trade. As I said in the my reaction video, check that out if you guys haven't seen it. It's a very confusing trade. Initially, when you look at it initially, it's a very confusing trade. You look at it, you see that we get a defensive tackle. He is a really good defensive tackle. Some people consider him a disappointment because of where he was drafted and all the expectations he came into the NFL with. He was expected to be, just like this monster up the middle if they placed him there, or on the side, a great edge rusher, because honestly, he could really play across the defensive line in my opinion. And like say in a standard 4-3 defense, you could put him anywhere on the defensive line, he'll be good. In a 3-4, you could put him at either the 3 technique or at the middle and he'll be good. But he was expected to be this sort of game-changing player, kind of similar to Jadeveon Clowney, actually, who got traded to the Seahawks. Very similar players in what they were expected to be and then what they turned out to be. They're still really good players, in that upper echelon of the tiers and whatnot. And I think people are a little hard on both of them, but let me focus on Leonard Williams, because that's who this is about. People are a little hard on him because it's not as though he's a bust or anything. It's not as though he's a bad player. He's really good, and I think the expectations is what leads them to think that he's a disappointment, because in my opinion he isn't. He's what a first round pick should be, a really good defensive tackle that does his job, and it's honestly, really good off the field and in the locker room. I don't know what else you could really expect from a first round pick. When you really think about it, there's more busts than anything in the first round, and this guy was luckily enough not a bust. He's just a really good player, and I'm gonna leave it at that to see how he performs in a Giants uniform. But getting back to the original point here, it was a very confusing move because we have, in my opinion, 2 good and 1 really good defensive tackles at our starting lineup right now. The one really good one is Dexter Lawrence. Hopefully the performance that he's giving right now can carry over into the second year, because a good defensive tackle that we had and could have been really good is BJ Hill, who had a really good rookie year, mostly in the second half, as did most of the Giants team last year. Most of our good stuff came from the second half, but BJ Hill was somebody that a lot of people expected to take a next step this year, because he came in last year, he had 5 sacks and he was stuffing the run. He was a very good modern day defensive tackle type player, but so far this year, we're 8 games in, going into 9, now we're entering the second half. I don't know if he's like the Giants offense or something, that all of a sudden they click in the second half of the season when it doesn't matter. But we're halfway through the season and BJ Hill's kind of been a disappointment. No sacks yet, very few QB pressures. I wouldn't say he's been good at stuffing the run, but he's been okay at stuffing the run, considering that we've been really ran on by most of the teams in the NFL, and it starts with those guys up front. But BJ Hill, all in all, it's been kind of a disappointment this year, even though he's been good, maybe average. Next person up is Dalvin Tomlinson, who is somebody that is super underrated on this team. In fact, I just got a fan tell me that Dalvin Tomlinson and BJ Hill won't start on any other NFL team other than the New York Giants, when I was talking about how we had 3 good defensive tackles. I could understand him saying BJ Hill, but not Dalvin Tomlinson, because Dalvin Tomlinson is a proven product He's a really good player. He's honestly an unsung hero in the Giants trenches. He's always been one of the most consistent players on our team. He always stops the run, and I want to say since last year he's adapted his play and his body. He's adapted the style in which he plays to try and get a little bit of a push on the pocket. And I think Dalvin Tomlinson he's a really good player, and I think it's insane that anybody could say that he wouldn't start on another NFL team, because he is, in my opinion, a top 15, maybe top 10 defensive tackle in the league with how consistent and how good he is. But where does Leonard Williams fit on his defense? Right now, I think that the most likely place he'll slide into is BJ Hill's place. Maybe they'll sit BJ Hill. Maybe he'll come in and, some type of packages with the second group like O'Shane Zimenez and Olsen Pierre and whatnot, because he's definitely better than, well, you know what, actually, I was just going to say he's definitely better than RJ McIntosh, but RJ McIntosh has been having a good year, considering his position as a backup and when he comes in. But when he comes in, you notice him. So I don't know, but he's definitely going to be coming in with that second group if we sit BJ Hill, because honestly, that's where I think Leonard Williams would be at his best too, at the 3 technique. I don't think he's going to be good if you put him in the middle, but we have Dalvin Tomlinson there, so I think the most sensible place will be to slide him in to that 3 technique spot to help us get a push. Maybe our pass rush improves a bit, maybe we push the pocket a little bit more, because honestly, thinking about a defensive lineup with Leonard Williams on one side and Dexter Lawrence on the other, that's kind of scary. And if they could develop well enough together, that could be something for the future right there. So I mean, yeah, all in all, looking at the trade, I can see where Gettleman was coming from. I can see where he was thinking. I definitely like it a bit more now than I did 2 days ago when I found out. Because, even just talking through it there, with you guys, just talking through it, seeing where Leonard would fit, it makes sense. I still don't like that we gave up a 3rd round pick and a conditional 5th. The condition being it becomes a 4th if we re-sign Williams, which if we don't re-sign Williams, I think this move would be stupid. But I expect us to do so. But, hey, my opinion on that could change maybe by the end of this year, because he could come out here and do really good things for us. Now, what I really want to touch upon is kind of the lack of moves, not just from the Giants, but from really anybody else in the NFL at the trade deadline. Now then, we could have tried to get rid of a couple of guys to help give us back some money, make space for some players that we have the current roster and whatnot. The 2 biggest ones were Nate Solder and Janoris Jenkins. But trade candidates, I guess you could say, were also Alec Ogletree and Rhett Ellison. Now let's start with the trade candidates. Alec Ogletree, Rhett Ellison. I don't see anybody really wanting to take Alec Ogletree from us. There's not really a team right now that is in desperate need of a middle linebacker. And, there's not a buyer team right now that would be in that desperate need. You think about buyer teams or teams that are probably going to be in the playoffs, that are in contention and whatnot. All of them have, a good defense. And their weaknesses really lie in the secondary, which I'll get to in a second with Janoris Jenkins. So I don't see a team wanting Alec Ogletree, and even if they did, you look at him, you see that he's really kind of past his prime. He's a very average middle linebacker at best, and there's an argument that could be made he's regressed since he came here. In my opinion, he stayed the same, but I don't think any team really wants that, especially if you're a contender. Now, Rhett Ellison, that's kind of the same situation. There's no contender right now, nobody that would be considered a buyer that would want a second string tight end. He's really good. He's versatile in my opinion. He can block and catch. And maybe he could start depending on the team he goes to. I'm trying to think of contender teams right now. They all got pretty good offenses too. So you know what? Alec Ogletree, Rhett Ellison, you couldn't get them off the books. That's fine. Nate Solder, straight up off his contract, I don't see anybody wanting to take that. That was a pipe dream anyway. That's fine. I won't even go into Nate Solder just because of his contract. I don't see anybody wanting to take that off of us. Janoris Jenkins is where I'm a little confused because there's been talk since last year that we're going to trade this guy. And at this point, I think the relationship between the front office and Jenkins would be a little sour when there's constant talks. Imagine you're an NFL player on a team. You're doing good. This is technically going to be one of his best, if it's not his best year statistically as a cornerback in the NFL, and yet there's always talks about you being traded. I think that relationship is soured, but also the movement that the Giants are going, and I think they want to get a bit younger. I think it's, within their plans to get a bit younger, considering everybody other than Jenkins on our secondary right now is, and Bethea actually, other than Jenkins, Bethea on our secondary right now is kind of on their rookie contract. So considering all that, and considering the fact that there's teams out there that needed cornerbacks, the Kansas City Chiefs, that was one of the biggest rumored teams that will be interested in Jenkins, even though they're not contenders, they're not buyers, depending on how long Patrick Mahomes is out. They've been a team that's been in the talks. A team like the Eagles, I know that's kind of a stretch because they're a division rival, and it's very hard to do in-division trades, but Eagles were somebody that needed one. The Cowboys were somebody that needed one. Texans, somebody that needed one. Going back to the AFC West, that now is a little open. Maybe even the Raiders needed one. There's a lot of teams out there that needed one, and there were teams that were looking at guys like Chris Harris and whatnot, and Jamal Adams, teams that need safety help, that were looking at these players but couldn't get them because the selling teams were asking too much. And because of that, I think the Giants could have made a move to get Janoris Jenkins off their books. Say for example, I'm just going to pick a random team. You're the Raiders. You need a cornerback. You're looking at Chris Harris, but Denver wants a first, a player, and a second or something. Maybe that's too much for you. You can go over to the Giants, where all we're asking for is probably at most a third. And if we're asking for more than a third, it's probably going to be a third and a fifth or something like that, or a third and a sixth. You'd probably go for that because Janoris Jenkins is still proving that he could do it in today's game. Like I said, he's having one of his best statistical career years ever. And he's in general a really good cornerback. He's still a top 15 cornerback. And that's a cheap price compared to the other guy. It's a cheap price, right? So you can get Janoris Jenkins. See, now that's something I think that could have happened because there were a lot of seller teams out there that were asking for too much. And maybe that could be it too. Like, we don't know. Maybe that was why we didn't get Jenkins off the books. Or maybe it's just that the Giants want to keep him on. Who knows? But the lack of movement is a bit concerning. It is. I won't lie to y'all. But I'm not going to go and bash Gelman for it because we're going to get these guys off the books anyway. And it would have been nice to get some picks back for him. But it doesn't work out like that. It does take two teams to make a trade, guys. All in all, the message I want to give here is that I cannot give complete judgment until we see how this all plays out. So by the end of the year, if we re-sign Leonard Williams, how Leonard Williams plays for us, then I'll say whether or not this was a good trade or not. Very similarly to the Odell trade and the Olivier Vernon trade for Lawrence, Peppers, Zimenez, and Zeitler. I would say we won those trades from the Browns because those are four players that we got back that are really good and that I expect to be on this Giants team for like the next 5-6 years. In the case of Zeitler, maybe like the next 3-4. I have to do the same for Leonard Williams, and I have to do the same at the end of this season into the offseason to see what we do with Soler, with Jenkins, with Ogletree, with Elson. But that's what I got for y'all today. Like I said, I had a little extra time on my hands so I could get kind of a recap review video out of the trade deadline. Don't worry, I'll have the Giants versus Cowboys preview video out either tomorrow or Friday. Because this little extra time, it gives me some room to work with. But let me know what you guys think. You already know, put your comments down below. I love to chat with my subscribers. Every now and then I can get into like a little debate with y'all. Sometimes I don't have the time, all that. But do leave your comments down below. Like the video. It helps me out. It helps YouTube know that people like my videos, that they want to watch more of it. And, it will be recommended, not just to my subscribers, but others also. Share it so that it gets around. And subscribe because that's honestly the best way you can help me out. I've gotten a good amount of new subscribers in the past week. Welcome everybody. Welcome all. Thank you for checking me out. Thank you for thinking that you want to hear my opinions every now and then. It is fun. I love doing this. But that's what I got for you all today. I'm out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Put your comments down below. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Until next time, I'm out. Yeah.